everyone, and welcome. Okay, yeah, we're live now. Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Otumba Adams Show. My name is, and would always be, Adam Sulwafemi today, and you guys are welcome, especially. How is the day going? How is life? How is everything that is happening around you? Hope work is going well, and you guys are giving your best to your world. Today is Wednesday, the 27th day in the month of July 2022, and this is the episode 159th. And today we will be looking at ways to bring out the best in your team members. Ways to bring out the best in your team members. But before I dive right into what I have to teach for today, which is always brief, within 10 to 15 minutes we are done. If this is your first time of being a part of the show and you're probably wondering what is this whole thing about, who is this guy, what do we do here, what's all these things about, all right, we'll talk about business, we'll talk about freelancing, we'll talk about entrepreneurship, we'll talk about leadership, we'll talk about ways you can actually be better in your life, in your business as a whole, all right? Anything that could actually help you out there in Nigeria. And also, if you're in any part of the world, this also could be beneficial to you, all right? But majorly, I focus on my own people, my Niger people. Okay, so that's what we do here. And today I said that we'll be looking at how to bring out the best in your team members. And why did I have to come up with such a topic? Because I realized that everybody has a business, or a lot of people, not everybody, beg your pardon, a lot of people have businesses, and sometimes they have to work with people, but the way they relate with those people would actually determine the output they get from those people as well. So today we'll be looking at how you can actually bring out the best in people. And number one on the list right here is be the change you seek. Now, if you want your team members to give you their A game, you have to be that person also that would also bring his own A game to the work, to the office. All right. It's not like you are in a team and then you are relaxed, you're complacent about everything, and you expect every other person to give you their best when you are not even showing up as the leader. All right. You have to be that person that takes the forefront. Show other people how it is meant to be done by doing it yourself, because people would only follow what you do. They would follow in your footsteps. If they see that you're not giving your best to the job, you're not giving your best to the team, they also would say that hey, there's a saying in Yoruba that says ogata ogauta uwala rakwe, meaning that whether we work or not, we are still going to get our salary at the end of the month, rather. But if you put in your best, if you show the rest that okay, this is how it's meant to be done, then it would fire up other people. If you have this ginger towards the work, if you have this energy that you put towards the work, it should also spread to the other team members, because they'll be like, hey, the boss is like this, we also need to do like this. If you are running with a vision, the people around you would also run with your vision as well. But if you're complacent about it, don't expect anything from your team members, all right? So that's number one on the list. Number two on the list is be their greatest cheerleader. Now, a lot of the time, we've seen cases where bosses criticize what's the word now, their subordinates, their team members, and you expect them rather to give you their best, but you're not putting that fire under them to cheer them up. They're like, hey, you can do better. You are great at this. I love the way you did this thing. How did you do it? When you show that you are actually concerned about them, when you show that you love what they're doing, when you show that they're giving their best to the company, and you let them know that hey, I appreciate the things that you do, it would actually ginger them to want to do more. But if you're the type that always looks for faults, always brings down your team members, always brings down your subordinates, trust me, they would never give you their best. They would only fear you, but they would not bring out their creative side out for you to see. All right, they may probably do what you want them to do, but they would not go beyond that point, and which would really not help the business on the long run. You want them to bring out their A game, cheer them up, tell them you're doing a fantastic job. For those that have done fantastically well, cheer them up. And even for those that are not even doing so well, right, look for something good about them. Tell them that you can actually do better, and encourage them to be their best. That's one way you can actually like guarantee that your team members will give you their heart and soul into that job. All right, so that's number 2 on the list. Number 3 on the list is communicate consistently. Now, this right here is something that like I have realized that a lot of people do not know how to do properly. All right, consistent communication is very, very key when it comes to having team members, because you cannot just say something once and then assume that like those people would run with the things that like you did not say, right? You know, there used to be a time that like people would say that like when your boss says something that, like you should outdo yourself, you should do this, you should do that. But if you are constantly not communicating with people, if you are not sharing the vision with them, if you are not telling them that like, hey, this is what we are supposed to do per time, you can't get the best out of a team member, because what is not said is not known, and what is not known cannot be executed, and that's it. So you need to learn to communicate with them, constantly have meetings with them, ask them, okay, where are we falling short? Okay, this is what you're doing, this is not what you're doing well, this is where we are going, and this is how you have to get there. The moment you consistently communicate with them, they would understand what the vision is, they would understand what the goal is, and per time they would know where to go to, because you're consistently directing them to the point you want them to get to. All right, so that's number 3 on the list. Number 4 on the list is trust them with the work. Now, we know that like you're the boss, we know that like you've given them tasks to do, but please do not breathe down their necks. All right, give them that space to show their creative side, to show that like they can actually get the job done. All right, give them that space, let them do their work. Some people, when you're breathing down their neck, they have this tendency not to be at their best. All right, but when you give them that leeway and you allow them to actually like show what they can do, then you would realize that like, hey, this person actually had this thing that I never realized the person had. The person could actually bring it in another angle that you never thought of, but you actually needed in that workplace. All right, in that for that goal to be met, you needed that idea that that person brought into the office, and that can only be achieved because you give that person that space for the person to shine. All right, realize that like every one of them are from different aspects of the world, and they have different skills, and they are good at what they do. That is why you brought them into the office in the first place, or you brought them into the team for them to work with you in the first place. So trust them to be able to like carry out the task at hand. It is very, very important. Trust is very important. Number 5 is be empathetic. All right, be empathetic, meaning that like you should be able to know what they are going through at time, and then react to them based on how you perceive what they are going through. Meaning that like you do not just flare up just because somebody gave you an excuse. It could be that like you are not facing that same problem that they are facing. All right, you need to be able to like put yourself in their shoes and then ask yourself that like, okay, what is this person going through? Um, how is this person facing this thing? Can this person really get this thing done based on the skill that they have? If you can put all these things into consideration, then you would know that like, okay, at this point in time, this person is not giving their best because of this reason. Then you now start thinking of how you can help the person out of that situation at that point in time to be able to like give their best to the company. And when people know that like you care about them, you care about the things that like they do, the things that goes on in their lives outside of work, they would bring their A game to the office for you. But if you're always and consistently shouting them down, they're like, hey, why this stuff? My house is not far from here. I got to the office before you. And then you are not putting into consideration that like your own home is closer to the office, or you are probably staying in the same compound. And then this other person has to come from a very far distance, has to go through traffic, has to go through a lot of things. And the person still try to get to work on time, but because you are not being considerate, you shout at them, you talk them down, and you feel that like your team members will be able to like give their best. No, they will not, because you've already ruined that person's mood at that point in time. And throughout the day, the person would carry on that negative energy that you've already poured into them, into the team, into the work, and you would realize that like on the long run, you are not moving anywhere because your team members are not happy. All right, so that's number 5 on the list. Number 6, which is the penultimate number, is please be approachable. All right. Let people have access to you. It is very, very important. We've seen cases whereby, like, when the boss gets into the office, everybody, uh, what's the word? Everybody would disperse. Everybody would disappear because the boss is not approachable. And if you are not approachable, there's no way you can communicate properly with them. There's no way you can actually know what is happening in their lives for you to be empathetic. There's no way for you to like be able to like cheer them on because nobody wants to stay around you. They feel that like you are mean, you are too bossy, you are not approachable. No, please don't do that. Because if at any point in time anybody has any need and they need your help, you should be the first person that they should run to. And you should be able to have listening ears to listen to them and push them through, guide them through what they need to do at that point in time. Which brings me to the very last point, which is mentor them. Mentoring is very, very key if you want to bring out the best in your team members. It's a relationship that's like commensalism, right? Meaning that like it's a give and take. As they are given to your company, you should also be able to polish them up with your experiences. All right. Don't just assume that like they should know. Not everybody knows it. That is why you have to take the time out to mentor them. Show them that, like, hey, this is what you have to do here. This is what you have to do there. You could actually do it better this way. I love what you did, but you could actually be better in this particular aspect. And when you do that to these people, when you mentor them, it gives them this sense of pride that, like, hey, my boss is taking a liking to what I do. My boss is trying to like improve my person, and I also should give back to my boss because there's a popular saying that like I think I always say on this show from time to time that like people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And if you have to mentor them, you have to be caring enough to to come down to their level and then gradually bring them up to your level. And it will then surprise you that like when you bring them up to your level, because they are probably younger than you are, they would exceed the level that you are and they would be willing to also bring you up to that level that like, ah, boss, I've exceeded you in this aspect. This is how I did it. Would you like to? Because you were the one that first brought yourself down to bring them up. They also would do the same for you. Now, it may not be in all cases, but you would always say that's one person that would want you to grow because you invested so much into them. Mentoring is very, very key if you want your team members to give you their A game, if you want your team members to bring out their very best. Which brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope you guys have been able to learn something tangible. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel if you're watching from YouTube. From Facebook, please like and also share with your loved ones. This brings us to the end of today's show. My name remains Adam Slow Olajide, and it's been a pleasure being with you guys today. Again, this is episode 159, and I would see you at 100 and at the 160th episode. Do have a great day and be the best God has created you to be. Enjoy.